the fusion of science and religion. Therapeutic religion will never replace traditional religion with the message of Judaism, most of Christianity, Buddhism, and the like. They have held that man is doomed to his present form, that he cannot really evolve any further, and anything he might achieve can only be achieved from within the real nightmare of his loneliness in creation and from the energy he now has. He has to adapt and wait. New birth will keep him going, giving him constant renewal, say the Christian, and if he has perfect righteousness and faith and enough of it spread widely enough among its followers, then, say the Hebrews, God himself will act. Man should wait while using their best intelligence and effort to secure their adaptation and survive. Ideally, they will wait in conditions where openness towards miracle and misery in the life truth of creation, which would make it easier to both to survive and to be redeemed, because man would be less driven to undo themselves and would be more like the message that pleased their creator. All few creatures trying to live in harmony with the rest of the creation. Today we would add too that they would be less likely to poison the rest of the creation. What do we mean by live truth of creation? We have to mean the world as it appeared to man in the condition of relative unrepression. That is, as it would appear to creatures who assess their true puniness in the face of the overwhelmingness and majesty of the universe, of the unspeakable miracle of even single created object. And as it probably appeared to the earliest man on the planet and to those extra-sensitive type who have filled the roles of shaman, prophet, saint, poet, and artist. What is unique about the perception of reality is that it is alive and the panic inherent in creation. Sylvia plots somewhere named God, King Panic, and Panic is fittingly king of grotesque. What are we to make of a creation in which the routine activity is for organisms to be tearing others apart with teeth of all type, binding, grinding flesh, plant stalk, bones between molar, pushing the pulp greedily down the gullet with delight, incorporating its essence into one's own organization, and then excreting with a foul stench and gases the residue. Everyone reaching out to incorporate others who are edible to him. The mosquito bloating themselves on blood, the maggot, the killer bee attacking with fury, and the demonism shark continuing to tear and swallow while their innards are being torn out. Not to mention the daily dismembered and slaughtered in natural accident of all time. An earthquake buries alive 70,000 bodies in Peru, automobiles to take a pyramid heap over 50,000 a year in the US alone. A tidal wave washes over 250,000 in the Indian Ocean. Creation is a nightmare spectacular taking on place on the planet that have been soaked for hundreds of millions of years in the blood of all its creatures. The soberest conclusion that we could make about what has actually been taking place on the planet for about 3 billion years is that it's being turned into a vast pit of fertilizer. But the sun distracts our attention, always baking the blood dry, making things grow over it. And with its mourn, giving the hope that comes with the organism's comfort and expansiveness. Quattorso Marte e questo inamora, as Michelangelo put it. Science and religion merged in a critique of deafening the perception of its kind of truth, and science betrays us when it's willing to live through or into itself. Here the criticism of all behaviorist psychology, all manipulation of man, and all coercive utopism come to rest. This technique tries to make the world other than it is, legislate the grotesque of it, inaugurate a proper human condition. The psychologist Kenneth Klein, in his recent presidential address to the American Psychological Association, called for a new kind of chemical to deaden man's aggressiveness and so make the world a less dangerous place. The Watson, the Skinners, the Pavlovian all have the formula for soothing things out. Even Freud, enlightenment man that he was, after all, wanted to see a saner world and seems willing to absorb live through into science if only it was possible. He once mused that in order to really change things by therapy, one would have to get at the masses of men, and the only way to do this would be to mix the copper of suggestion into the pure gold of psychoanalysis. In other words, to coerce by transfers to a less evil world. But Freud knew better as he gradually come to see that the evil in the world is not only in the inside of people but on the outside, in nature, which is why he became moralistic and pessimistic in his later work. The problem with all the scientific manipulators is that somehow they don't take life seriously enough. In this sense, all science are burgess, an affair of bureaucrats. I think that taking life seriously means nothing such as this. And whatever man does on this planet has to be done in the live-through of terror of creation, of the grotesque, of the rumble of panic underneath everything. Otherwise, it is false. Whatever is achieved must be achieved from within the subject energy of the creatures without deadening with full exercise of passion, of vision, of pain, of fear, and of sorrow. How do we know with right that our part of the meaning of the universe might not be a rhythm in sorrow, manipulative, utopian science by deadening human sensitivity would also deprive man of the heroic in their urge to victory? And we know that in some very important way this falsifies our struggle by emptying us, by preventing us from incorporating a maximum of experience. It means the end of distinctly human, or even we must say, the distinctively organismic. In a mysterious way of which life is given to us in the evolution of this planet, it pushes the direction of its own expansion. We don't understand it simply because we do not know the purpose of creation. We only feel life stranding in ourselves and we see it thrashing others as they devour each other. Life seeks to expand in an unknown direction for unknown reason. Not even psychology should meddle with the sacrosanct vitality, concluded Rank. This is meaning of its option for the irrational as the basis of life. It is an option based on empirical experience. There's a driving force behind mystery and we cannot understand, and it concludes more than reason alone. The urge to cosmic heroism then is sacred and mysterious and not to be neatly ordered and rationalized by science and secularism. Science, after all, is the cradle that has attempted to absorb into itself and to deny the fear of life and death. And it is only one more competitor in the spectrum of roles for cosmic heroes. Modern man is drinking and drugging himself out of awareness, or he spends his time shopping, which is the same thing. As awareness calls for the type of heroic dedication that his creature no longer provides for him, society contrived to help him forget. Or alternatively, he buried himself in psychology in the belief that awareness all by itself will be some kind of magical cure for his problem. But psychology was born with the breakdown of shared social heroism. It can only be gone beyond the creation of new heroism that are basically matter of belief and will, dedication to a vision. Lifton has recently concluded the same thing from a conceptual point of view rather than identical to Rank. When a thinker of Norman Brown's stature wrote his later book Love Body, he was led to take his own thought to this point. He realized that the only way to go beyond the natural contradiction of existence was in time-worn religious way, to project one's problems onto a good figure, to be healed by the all-embracing and all-justifying beyond. To talk in terms, it is not all the same thing as talk the same language of psychotherapeutic religious. Rank was not naive or messianic. He said the orientation of man has to be always beyond their body, has to be grounded in healthy repression and toward explicit immortality, ideology, mystic of hero transcendence. We can conclude that a project as grand as scientific medical construction of victory over the human limitation is not something that we can be programmed by science. Even more, it comes from the vital energy of masses of men sweating within the nightmare of creation, and it is not even in man's hand to program. Who knows what form the forward momentum of life will take in the time ahead, or what use it will make of our anguished searching. the most that of anyone can seem to do to fashion something, an object or a self, and drop it into the confusion, make an offering on it, so to speak, to the life force.